I am very pro-LGBTQ if that's what you really are. In 1976, Richard Raskin got the surgeries and the hormone treatments and changed gender to female so that he could play professional women's tennis. And I also don't think Maddie is really LGBTQ. Now, it's of course possible that Maddie has brainwashed herself to be bisexual. Hitler brainwashed a lot of apparently normal people to carry out the Holocaust. She's cut off all communication with me. America's so-called elite colleges have become political indoctrination centers. I was basically targeted politically in exactly the same way the Biden Justice Department is targeting Donald Trump.
Let's get Breakdancing Dad cutting Maddie out of his will out of the way.
My 25-year-old daughter is a writer in Hollywood. She has become something of a social media influencer over the last year or so. In
his first video, he does this thing where he's like, this needs some correcting or some fact-checking. Maddie's not that big.
She has about 103,000 followers on TikTok. Many of her videos get millions of views. She also gets quite a lot of media attention. Her shtick is that she was raised in a conservative-leaning Christian home. Now she's putting out videos like this.
It's Pride Month. Happy Pride to all of the formerly Christian, Republican, homophobic children who grew up to be pretty gay. I always forget that being pro-choice technically means that I'm pro people also being able to choose to keep the baby. Like, I just heard about some people from my high school who like accidentally got pregnant and the girl is apparently decided to keep the baby. And my first thought was like, what? I'm like, our state is pro-choice. You can get rid of it. And I said that to like a mutual friend and she was like, well, yeah, she can also choose to keep it. I was like, oh, that's how that works. I don't know if I'm pro-choice. I think I'm pro a lot of the people I know shouldn't be parents yet. Happy Pride Month. When I was little, I was super homophobic and Christian, so I literally protested gay marriage, like truly marched against it. Anyway, now I like eating pussy.
She's posted more than 600 videos. Now, most of her videos are not like this. I'd say 75% of her videos are okay, though not my taste. But her channel has been moving in this new direction recently. As I move forward to this video, I'll outline my theories on what I think led to this change in her content. Maddie's mom and I got divorced in 2005. And
I'm unsure of how to respond. You can say that the second one is not your sense of humor, right? Where she talks about pro-choice. Sure, whatever. But there's nothing really wrong with her being like, oh, I grew up in a Christian household. Happy Pride. Surprised people grow up and figure out they're gay. I don't think there's anything that hard about that. I don't yet see the point in him choosing those videos, but maybe we'll get there.
I actually view Maddie's videos as an attack on Maddie's mom more than on me, because Maddie's mom presents herself as a hardcore Christian. She also works for a pro-life organization. Maddie is basically giving the middle finger to her mom with these videos. I, on the other hand, am impossible to shock. I had a really good friend who turned out to be one of America's most famous bank robbers, so nothing shocks me. Now, I certainly vote Republican.
Okay, do you guys remember? Do you remember Diane's first video? Do you remember Diane's first video where Diane goes, I thought this was more of a problem with my husband, Ted, because I'm not even that political. He literally just said that. This is an attack on Maddie's mom because she works for a pro-life organization. Now, I certainly vote Republican. Is Maddie like a little bit caricature-y? Sure, but she's making TikTok videos. It would be very boring for her to just sit there and be like, I'm gay.
And I grew up in a family that was divided politically. My mom was an artist and she was far left. She was a volunteer for Ralph Nader in the 2000 election because she thought Al Gore was too right-wing. My father voted for John F. Kennedy over Richard Nixon in 1960. He was a professor.
Yes, but that was back when people weren't like, there's a difference between a Republican and a MAGA Republican. There just is. Republicans in the 80s and the 90s and before then, in the 60s and the 70s, are entirely different than the ones we have now. But if you watch videos of like Richard Nixon or George Sr. talking about immigration, they're all pretty normal people. If you watch videos of John McCain talking about having lost the election, normal person. All of them are just like, you know, there's a bigger problem here. I think that if we can figure out a way to get them here legally, get them to pay taxes, then we're good. Like, we should have a good relationship with Mexico. All of them say something like that. Now you have people who are just like, get them out of our country. Shoot them. They're not people. They belong in cages. So it's entirely different to be like, My dad was a Republican in 1960. I'm a Republican now. See how we're the same?
Professor of English Literature at Dartmouth College. He started writing book reviews for National Review and became friends with the conservative intellectual William F. Buckley. And Dad became a senior editor at National Review when he was a full professor at Dartmouth. Dad wrote speeches for Ronald Reagan when he was governor of California in 1968, when Reagan was sort of thinking of running for president. And then Dad wrote speeches for Nixon in 1968 and 1972. Dad voted for Reagan in both 1980 and 1984. My dad broke with the Republican Party over the Iraq War. He voted for Obama in 2008 and 2012.
Makes sense.
And I would also describe myself as a John F. Kennedy-style Democrat. John F. Kennedy was very anti-communist, very patriotic, pro-life, and pro-God. He would be considered a right-winger today.
No, he wouldn't.
My political views are probably pretty much in alignment with Elon Musk's. I'm pro.
You cannot convince me to root for this guy when he's just out here being like, I want to be Elon Musk. And Elon Musk literally does his little hoppy poo, yay, and on Trump's stage. Also, like the handshake, like everyone saw the weird Elon Musk handshake. Like, this is your guy. This is your guy, dude. This is your guy. This is your guy? This is your dude? This dude's kids don't like him for a reason. This is the kid that got bullied everywhere he went and didn't realize he was being bullied. That's your dude? Like, Diane did it too. Diane did it too. In Diane's deleted video. Again, we're coming back to Diane, but they're the same person. Diane, in her deleted video, when she like lists off celebrities who are estranged that she just like doesn't think it's their fault. She's like, even Elon Musk, our Lord and Savior, is estranged from his kids, his daughter.
American, I'm for what works best for the whole. I sometimes describe myself as a utilitarian, tempered by Christianity and the Bill of Rights. I'm for maximizing freedom because freedom works best. If freedom failed whenever tried, I would not be for freedom. But freedom works. But of course, we also need rules. And we do need a social safety net because some people just can't make it on their own, can't take care of themselves. And yes, I am pro-life, which is one of the unalienable rights listed in the Declaration of Independence. Each one of us has an unalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. At the same time, there are the hard cases. If a 12-year-old girl gets raped and is pregnant, should she be required to carry the baby to term? Most people would say no. During the week that Maddie was graduating from Northwestern University a few years ago, I was having dinner with Maddie and her boyfriend of 3 or 4 years, a nice kid named Elijah. Here he is.
Why would you show his face?
And somehow the discussion turned to politics. I think she asked me how I could vote for Donald Trump. And I said I wasn't.
Good question. I will say this is all so stupid. This is all so dumb. This is all so dumb. One, he's obviously the problem. Second, Maddie, as an adult, because she is, it is not your job to cut out your parents because they lean on the other side of the political spectrum as you do. It is not. Those are your parents. I understand. I don't have that personal experience. It is too easy for me to cut people out of my life. I understand for you that it may not be. But you have to stop bringing people around your parents if it's a problem. You can't bring people, your boyfriend, your friends, anyone, to go hang out with your dad if you know it's going to turn into a political fight. You're not going to convince me that Elon Musk's #1 fan isn't a bad person and a bad parent. You're just not going to do it.
Wasn't for Donald Trump in the Republican primaries. My first choice was Scott Walker, the governor of Wisconsin. He dropped out of the race quickly. So then I was for Marco Rubio. But Trump blew Rubio out of the water in his home state of Florida by 19 points. I was pretty much for anyone but Trump in the Republican primaries in 2016. But I found Trump preferable to Hillary Clinton. And I have a video here on my true views of Donald Trump.
I cannot imagine watching a 105-minute video on him just like going down on Donald Trump. I cannot do it.
There is a lot wrong with Donald Trump, but I think he's better than anybody that the Democrats are likely to put up. I asked her why she decided to become a Democrat, and it was not any kind of hostile question at all. I was just curious. Maddie was a theater major at Northwestern University. She was heavily into theater in high school. She got a number of lead roles in big productions, so she majored in theater in college. I wasn't especially happy with that. What can you do with a degree in theater? But that's what she wanted to major in. That's what she wanted to do. And people who are in the arts, people who are creative, tend to be on the liberal left side. Creative arts types tend to be right-brain dominant thinkers, which is the emotions and feelings side of the brain. Engineers tend to be more conservative, tend to be left-brain dominant, which is the logic side of the brain. Engineers use math. Engineers want the systems.
This is a dumb argument because it devolves into them saying that the people that go to college in general and that the college complex turns you left-wing. So for him to go into like, but specific majors, it's stupid because then at the end, they always go, but 90% of these kids are going to college to be indoctrinated. Have you guys ever seen those videos of people interviewing like women for Trump? And anytime they're like, why wouldn't you vote for a woman president? They're always like, women have too many feelings. Like they would just start wars all the time. And then the dude, I can't remember his name, he goes, well, hasn't every war been started by a man? And they go quiet.
Devices and structures that they're working on to fit together, to work properly. Engineers are systems people, so they tend to be more conservative. Elon Musk had been a Democrat. He was also an engineer. So it's not surprising that he moved more toward the Republican side in recent years. And as he often says, his political views have not actually really changed. But the Democrat Party has moved hard left. Ronald Reagan was also a Democrat. He famously said he did not leave the Democrat Party left him. And the Democrat Party has been trending left since John F. Kennedy. And then continued to accelerate leftward under Barack Obama. And it's completely insane now. And Elon Musk seems to have the same view. Here's one of his tweets on his political views.
He seems like someone who doesn't have a lot of their own opinions and doesn't have a lot to talk about. And so what he does is he waits for Elon or people like Elon to say something so that he can agree. Something that's really wrong with a chart like this is you're missing the point of progression. Things change. They just do. Women get the right to vote. Black people get the right to vote. Gay marriage, Roe v. Wade. Like all these things are just things that we've added on as we become more comfortable being people. And that's all it is. It's you grow up. And you're supposed to grow up as a society and a community. If you are incapable of growing up, you're going to be left behind. And that's in anything. Imagine this being a chart of like math. We'll go back to math. And being like, I learned algebra and sitting on algebra. But then other people learn calculus and trig and differential equations, whatever it is, and physics. And you're like, well, I just stayed here. Why am I so far behind? Like, because you didn't learn more. That's all it is. Congrats. You don't know how progression works. Congratulations. I wish I was also that dumb. I wish, dude. If I had the option, I would love to just be ignorant. I would love. That has to feel so good.
As you can see, he did not change. The political spectrum shifted leftward. And like Elon, I'm not any kind of ideologue. I'm for whatever works best, with a heavy bias toward maximizing freedom, while acknowledging that we also need rules. We can't have a football game without rules and without referees. But if there are too many rules and referees, the game becomes unplayable. And I think we find out what works best over time through trial and error. And that's essentially my political philosophy. I'm for what works. And I don't care much whether Maddie agrees with me on politics, religion, or whatever. She's a theater major and an artsy type, so I wouldn't expect her to agree with me. And I have all kinds of friendships with people I disagree with on almost everything. At our dinner with Maddie and her then-boyfriend,
the thing is, and they like to do this, they like to be like, well, I can be friends with people that disagree with me. That's because the people that disagree with you are the people that aren't harmful to other people. It doesn't work the other way around. Like if you and I have kids and I don't believe in beating my children and you do, and you do so, I don't want to be your friend. And you can be like, well, we're just different kind of parents. Like we can be friends. We can't. There are plenty of things that we can disagree on. Plenty of things. Food. I'm bad at trying new foods. Sports. Human rights isn't really one of them. The issue with any of this is anytime you argue with one of these people, they're never going to be smart enough to understand that they're wrong. And so arguing with them and against them is just a waste of time. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Who cares? I'm just going to make one of this dude. I could draw this dude. I could draw this dude so easily. A pencil and then like an egg for reference. That's all I need. I don't know how insulting that is, but it's meant to be very. Most of the people that I knew who were artists were very, very smart and capable of doing things like engineering. And a lot of the engineers I knew were super patient and capable of making art.
Maddie said that her main problem with the Republican Party was the abortion issue. And I said, well, okay. So if a woman gets pregnant, do you think that she should know whether or not she's pregnant after, say, the first trimester and make her decision by then? And Maddie answered, well, yeah, I think she should be able to make a decision by then, before the first trimester is up. And I pointed out that that's pretty much the law in countries like Sweden and France, which are pretty much considered progressive countries. In France, for example, abortions are allowed up until 14 weeks.
Another big problem with letting these people talk is that no one's fact-checking them. I have no idea if this is true or not. No clue. And I am going to waste my time sitting here pulling up Google. That's really good. You did a great job. Yeah. Yep. If this man wants to cut his daughter out of his will for any reason, okay. They've all done it, right? Like a lot of my comments on the Diane videos and videos of the people talking about estrangement are from parents or people themselves who are on the side of the parents who go, cut him out of the will. That'll show them. Okay. He's going to cut her out of his will. That's his right. He can do that. I don't think he needed a 90-minute video to tell us that. What sucks about it is that it is done as a punishment. He's doing it as a punishment, which is where the 90-minute video comes from. That's the problem. If you did it because you just like really don't agree with who Maddie is and you can't see her using your money the way you want it to be used, whatever, I guess. Weird, but whatever. But he's doing it as a punishment. He just wants the attention. I saw Oompaville's video on him. And in Oompaville's video, he did not have like any views on any of his videos until the one about his daughter. So I think what happened was he saw it got views and then just started making a bunch of videos about his daughter.
Threaten the life of the mother. And Sweden has a similar law. And Maddie at that time thought this was acceptable. This was a couple of years ago. Now she says her view is this.
Like, I just heard about some people from my high school who like accidentally got pregnant and the girl is apparently decided to keep
social media videos against them. This is probably not even a real story. This is probably her just like making a joke. Is the joke backed by her actual thoughts? Maybe, but it's not anything more than that. She shouldn't have to come out, make a video of herself as a whole person being like, hey, these are my actual thoughts. But you not weaponize her random TikToks, dude. There's a video. There's a Pokemon video where in the middle of it, I do a bit about drowning a baby and why I can't be a priest because I would accidentally drown it during baptism. That doesn't mean I'm drowning babies. Like, this isn't an interview. She's not being asked a question. She's just making a TikTok.
The baby, and my first thought was like, what? I'm like, our state is pro.
To be fair, listen, if any of my friends right now told me they were pregnant, I would assume they were going to have an abortion.
Pro-choice, you can get rid of it. I don't know if I'm pro-choice. I think I'm pro a lot of the people I know shouldn't be parents yet.
Right.
So what she seems to be saying here is not pro-choice. She seems to be...
This is also a problem with them, is that they don't understand context and they don't understand the way that people talk. You're not having a conversation. She's making a TikTok. The only reason to have a kid is if someone you know is having a kid and you want your kid to be better than their kid. And so you have a kid at the same time and you immediately teach it how to fight.
She's saying she's for mandatory abortion for some people. Like her friend from high school who chose to keep the baby.
Dude, a joke.
Because Maddie thinks this person is not ready to become a parent. And Maddie refers to the unborn baby as an it, as in she can...
Diane refers to born babies as an it, so where's your point?
Just get rid of it, as if the baby is a piece of trash.
That is a willful misinterpretation. I want to believe that if it was like purposeful, like if he for sure knew what she meant, he would not have included it. But they're not that smart is the problem. And to say that he willfully misinterpreted is to give him more credit than he deserves. I don't think he's smart enough to realize when she is and isn't joking.
Cavalier attitude toward life is the problem here. I would think that Maddie is glad that her mom did not have this attitude when she was pregnant with Maddie. Bill Clinton
Also, probably wrong. Like, my mom should have had at least one abortion, and it should have been me.
used to say that abortion should be legal but rare. My guess is that Maddie is making these shock videos, well, for shock value. Maddie knows her videos are very upsetting to her mom, so that's my interpretation of Maddie's new act.
These videos are not for you. These videos are not for you. These videos are not for you, nor are they probably for her mother. I don't think Maddie is like going out of her way to make sure her mom follows her on TikTok. I think most of us don't want our parents following us on any social media.
She's taking a dump on her mom. And she often talks in her videos about her one-night stands, her regular bouts with chlamydia, and her drinking binges. And now Maddie is presenting herself as an LGBTQ plus activist.
It's Pride Month. Happy Pride to all of the formerly Christian, Republican, homophobic children who grew up to be pretty gay. Happy Pride Month. When I was little, I was super homophobic and Christian, so I literally protested gay marriage, like truly marched against it. Anyway, now I like eating pussy.
Now I have nothing whatsoever against LGBTQ folks. I am very pro-LGBTQ if that's what you really are. Some people are born that way. You can't
Is he about to say that his daughter's not gay?
help who you are. My dad was very good friends with one of the first trans athletes, Renee Richards. My dad was a top collegiate tennis player, played number one all 4 years in college, first when he was at Dartmouth, then at Columbia when he transferred there. He was a top junior tennis player. And in tennis tournaments, my dad would find himself playing against Renee Richards when he was Richard Raskin.
I'm 27. I don't know who any of these people are.
Richard Raskin was the number one men's tennis player at Yale. And my dad and Raskin were pretty comparable in terms of their tennis skills. In 1976, Richard Raskin got the surgeries and the hormone treatments and changed gender to female so that he could play professional women's tennis. Dad and I thought that Richard Raskin, or Renee Richards, was doing this as something of a joke. And to make
We're going to fall down a weird hole. Also, I'm going to bring you right back to the title. Why I cut my daughter out of my will. 70 years ago, my dad's friend changed their gender, so I'm cutting my daughter out of my will.
make a mockery of women's athletics. That was our assumption. We weren't really sure what he was thinking.
Oh, this person got gender affirming care to make fun of women in sports, is what he just said.
Richard Raskin thought he could dominate professional women's tennis if he transitioned to female. At first,
There's a couple of issues here when we talk about things like sports. One, generally men's sports pay out more. So transitioning for the sake of being really good at a sport as a woman, you're just going to lose money, especially if you're already one of the best at the sport as a man. Yeah, no, you are. Men make so much more money in sports. I don't know what the league minimum in the NBA is, but I imagine it's 1.1 mil. That's wild. Top 25 highest paid WNBA players. 252K. Would you rather be the worst man or the best woman in basketball? So congratulations on transitioning. You make 5 times less than the lowest paid man. So congrats on becoming a woman. Your life is now so much harder.
Renee Richards was excluded from professional women's tennis. But after winning a court case, she was allowed to play in the U.S. Women's Open in 1977 at the age of 43. And Richards lost in the first round of the U.S. Open to a top woman tennis player named
This too. Like, oh, they're not actually a woman. They're just transitioning into a woman so they can be good at tennis. Lost in the first round.
Virginia Wade. The highest rank that Renee Richards ever achieved in professional women's tennis was 20th in the world in 1979 at the age of 45. If Richard Raskin had made his gender transition when he was younger, it's quite possible that Renee Richards would have dominated professional women's tennis. I actually met Renee Richards with my dad in New York City after Richards' transition. We met at the Yale Club for drinks and had dinner. She was very engaging, and I think Republican. So I have nothing whatsoever against LGBTQ people, including trans people.
Yeah, he's applying the gender of who they were at the time, which is not how you're supposed to do that.
If you're an adult and want to change genders, have at it. I don't think this idea should be introduced to children by the public schools. And I don't think
Nah,
males who
what's happening?
transition to female should be allowed to compete in organized female sports because they have obvious biological athletic advantages.
They have obvious biological athletic advantages, got eliminated in the first round.
Even with the hormone replacements. And I also don't think Maddie is really LGBTQ. I think she's putting on an act. Here's a video she posted last December.
Guys, I went on a date this week and I felt the feminism leaving my body. I live on the east side
Again, dog, that's a joke.
of LA, and if you don't know what that means, it's sort of like the artsier part of LA, you know? I sort of fell into going on a date with the most guy's guy I've ever been on a date with, and he's from West, you know, Santa Monica. He's a bro, right? A guy's guy is usually not my type. Like, I cannot remember the last time that I went on a date with like a straight bro, you know what I'm saying? So I'm on this date with this guy, and the thing about a guy's guy is he's putting his card down. He's paying for everything. And I really it sort of activated some.
I also, like, I gotta tell you, first off, I don't want to watch these TikToks. I don't. Not my content. Second, like, I can't imagine being one of her parents or related to her and, like, watching these. Like, I don't. Why? If I was a parent whose kid didn't, and my kid didn't like me, I wouldn't watch their TikToks. I don't like how he's pretending she's next to him. That's really funny, actually. And at the end of it, he's gonna go, thanks, Maddie.
Something feral in me, I'm not gonna lie. We went to like another bar and he was gonna go to the bathroom, so I was getting prepared to pay for our drinks because he's been paying all night. Of course I'm gonna pay for the next round, but as he's going to leave for the bathroom, he turns to me and he hands me his credit card and he goes, here's my card, get us whatever. It might be time for me to get away from all these, you know, liberal snowflakes on the east side.
She doesn't sound very LGBTQ
See how much
here.
of a joke that is? Bro, she's joking. I don't get it. Like, you have to be stupid?
Here, I think her LGBTQ shtick is an act, a canard. Anyways, this video by Maddie blew up on conservative media. It was talked about on Fox News and everywhere. And her video came across my feed on X. So I sent her this text message. Hey Maddie, check out my post above. Some random user on X has screen captured your video from TikTok. It then randomly came across my feed on X. Maddie answers, haha, I saw that. Nice. So funny. LOL. I do a little searching. I find that conservative podcaster Matt Walsh has done a video on Maddie's video. I send her a link to that with
The video is me making a joke. Okay. Yeah, obviously she had to clarify that for these people.
a note that says, your video has gone
Also, it's all of them, dude. It's all of them. These right-wing, the left can't take a joke people who themselves can't take jokes.
viral on X. Matt Walsh and others have reposted. Haha, I think it's awesome. Maddie answers, oh gosh, here come the Republican hate comments. The Matt Walsh video is making me a joke. I answer, no, don't worry, it's fantastic. Read the comments on my Facebook page.
No. He said that. He read that wrong, and I don't know if he misunderstood or if he just messed up reading.
No, don't worry. The Matt Walsh video is making me a joke.
He said making me a joke. It's not making her a joke. It's her making a joke. Right, but I don't know if he's reading it wrong or if he's misunderstanding.
I answer, no, don't worry, it's fantastic. Read the comments on my Facebook page. Yes, there will be a few jerks. Maddie answers, oh, those comments are nicer. I just wanted people to be able to take a joke. I thought it was a funny story. Again, I was not at all a fan of Maddie going to Hollywood and trying to make it in the entertainment biz. But as long as she was doing it, I very much wanted to encourage her and help her succeed in any way that I could. I certainly would have much preferred her to get a job on Wall Street and marry some hedge fund guy. But that wasn't the route she wanted to go. She was determined to make it in Hollywood. And I did very much like this video. I send her a text message. Quote, Matt Walsh did an entire podcast on you.
Dude.
He's a right-winger and has 2.6 million followers on X. You're somewhat of a hero among conservatives now. Not entirely, but I think it's great. You've stirred the pot. You were outside anyone's box, and I love it. Maddie answers, haha, thanks, Dad. The conversation goes on. Maddie says, I hope you don't get any hate from this. I say no, everyone loves it. Maddie says, haha, okay. I also send her a link to Tim Pool's podcast on it. Tim Pool is a
Again, these people love using examples of the worst people. Tim Pool's a right-wing dude who gets mad when you mention that he's bald.
He's a right-of-center podcaster and he loves it. Maddie answers, perfect. Maddie adds, you can tell people we've been seeing each other for a little bit now. The guy. I answer, okay, he sounds good. The conversation continues. I tell Maddie, I'm told your video was on Fox News' Jesse Waters show. Maddie answers, stop, OMFG. She's of course very excited. And I send her a screenshot of her video on Jesse Waters.
There's nothing more pro-America than taking money from Russia to spread propaganda.
I told her someone sent me this. Fox News Jesse Waters ran your video. I'll grab it off YouTube when it's available. Maddie answers, stop, no way. Send pic, no way. She's obviously very excited. I answer, I didn't see it. It's not up on YouTube yet. I'll get it. Maddie answers, oh God. I answer, oh I just saw it. It's awesome. I'll capture it off YouTube when it's up. Everyone's telling me you're everywhere. Go on my Facebook page and read the comments. And the conversation goes on. Maddie writes, where did you get your Benihana shirts printed? I want to print merch for myself. Meanwhile, this is all happening around Christmas of 2023. And all the kids were convening in Illinois for Christmas. Maddie writes, what time is dinner? 7? And here we are.
Yeah, you think you've lost the plot? You think... Consider that we're only 16 minutes into this video. How long have I been streaming? An hour and 49 minutes. This dude sucks. His daughter also sucks. Him just a lot more so. You don't need a reason to cut anyone out of your will, but you're doing it as a punishment, and that's stupid.
Then in January, she writes, my friends and I made shirts. She sends me photos of her and her friend wearing the shirts with pictures of Maddie's media appearances on the shirts. So she's quite happy that her bros bro guys guy video went viral on conservative media. She could feel the feminism leave her body.
Guys,
That's obviously like a joke.
And she's going to forget about all those liberal snowflakes. Biology seems to be trumping ideology here.
Brother, that's a joke. That is a joke. That is obviously a joke. She's obviously, like, you cannot make it more obvious that she's joking. And then this is like such a dumb argument. Biology. Oh, as a woman, you want a man's man. What?
She asks if I can send the media file to the Fox News Jesse Waters piece on her video. So obviously, Maddie and I were getting along very well. Now, as I said, I was not at all thrilled with Maddie's choice of a Hollywood career path. But if you... Again,
like, I'm still seething off of, like, 3 minutes ago. This man was like, my daughter's not actually gay. Here's an example of her being into men. Like, that is so stupid.
If she was going to keep putting up videos in this vein, that would be fine with me. And I would certainly continue to encourage it and promote it any way I can. But it seems like she was getting some blowback from her usual fans because she started saying that her video was just a joke, a parody.
No, but it is. Like, it is. Like, it's a joke. Like, you have to be so dumb to take that. Her being like, I felt the feminism leaving my body as like a serious sentence. Like, there's no way, dude.
And that, of course, she had checked out this guy's political leanings before going out on a date with him. And she began distancing herself from this video. So who knows? I do know that when she was growing up, Maddie was always talking about boys, and how she had a crush on this guy and that guy. And she had a great boyfriend in college for 3 or 4 years. I think the entire time she was in college.
Just because someone's never been, or isn't usually with, someone of the same gender doesn't mean they're not gay, dude. Like, chill.
She went out with this guy, Elijah, who was a great kid. He was also a theater major, and I'm sure leaned left. Though so far as I could tell, he really wasn't that political. He was very polite and respectful. We had good conversations.
Also, like, not that political just means he didn't want to talk politics with you.
Our biggest concern was that he would dump Maddie. Because as you can see, Maddie can be, well, not the easiest person. And I saw Elijah as a good, solid, steadying influence on Maddie. After graduating from Northwestern University, they went to Hollywood together to look for jobs. Both wanted to be in the entertainment industry. They broke up soon after arriving there. Not sure what happened. But there was absolutely nothing in Maddie's background that suggested that she was LGBTQ. If anything, she was boy crazy. Now she's claiming she's bisexual. I kind of doubt it. Now it's of course possible that Maddie has brainwashed herself to be bisexual to fit in with the Hollywood scene. I have a chapter in my new book titled Brainwash Yourself to Success. You can brainwash yourself into almost anything. Hitler brainwashed a lot of apparently normal people to carry out the Holocaust. Jim Jones brainwashed 900 people to voluntarily commit suicide.
No, there's no way, dude. There's no way. Hold on. Oh my God. No. Again, they're the same person. Diane did the exact same thing. Diane did the exact same thing. She did the exact same thing. Diane did the exact same thing. At some point, she starts talking about people being brainwashed and then brings up the Holocaust and then shows bodies and then deleted the video. But like, dude, they're all the same person. Also, I cannot get over the fact that he just like threw Magnus Carlsen on his book.
Together. Charles Manson brainwashed young people who came from well-educated, well-off backgrounds to commit a series of mass murders. So yes, people can be brainwashed to do and believe almost anything. Here's a guy who thinks he's a dog.
You know, it doesn't cost too much for me to live. Yeah. And I kind of live simply.
What does this have to do with anything? What does any of this have to do with your daughter? Hey, Hart, biomedic here. That thing you said about left side brain, right side brain at around 525, that's a myth. That's not really a discernible difference between left and right side. In terms of personality and political leaning, there are differences between them in terms of speech and recognition of faces and space. They're not going to listen to a professional, dude.
So perhaps Maddie has convinced herself now to be bisexual.
Not the same thing. Like, I hate when they do this. I hate when they're like, oh, well, gender, then I guess I'm just a chair.
So yeah, I can see why some females choose the LGBTQ route, either bisexual or...
Choosing is so stupid. I shouldn't have to argue against any of this. You as a rational, smart person should be able to be like, oh, that was stupid.
Exclusively female. What I don't get is males being attracted to other males. Aesthetically, that just doesn't make sense to me. But people are attracted.
It's not a choice, dude. Gotta tell you. If it was a choice, I also would be like, why would you ever want to be attracted to a man?
Attracted to whatever they're attracted to. Some people love olives and Brussels sprouts. I hate olives and Brussels sprouts. But I probably could brainwash myself to love olives and Brussels sprouts. So who am I to say what your taste should be? But I think what Maddie is really doing with her videos is taking a dump on her mom.
They're not for her mom. I don't think Maddie's going, okay, I hope my mom watches this.
Is that she's now LGBTQ and that she's rejected her Christian Republican upbringing.
Happy Pride Month. When I was little, I was super homophobic and Christian. Now I like eating pussy.
And she knows how much her TikTok videos will upset her mom.
Why
but I also think that Maddie sees her LGBTQ act as helping her gain traction in Hollywood, and also with the audience that she's built up on TikTok. She's also a white woman from a wealthy Chicago suburb who graduated from a very expensive elite college. She's had every advantage in life. It's hard to make any kind of a case that she's a victim. She could literally be the poster child for white privilege. The problem for her is that you don't get ahead in Hollywood by being a white woman from a wealthy Chicago suburb.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Like, the argument that she has a bunch of white privilege is probably like, yeah, obviously, right? But like, she doesn't need to victimize herself. Like, you're good. If I click a random movie on Netflix right now, 90% white people. That's just how that works. Like, she's good, dude. If she's gay, it's because she's gay, not because she needs to like victimize herself.
By being a Karen, essentially. In Hollywood, you get ahead by being part of some allegedly oppressed group. In Hollywood, you're especially cool if you're LGBTQ. So in my view, Maddie has just adapted her shtick to be what's trendy in Hollywood. So she's trashing her background and where she came from. Now, I don't really care if she's LGBTQ or not. She's an adult. She can be whoever she wants to be. But I kind of suspect that she might be pulling a Jussie Smollett here. Of course, there's no way to really know what's going on in someone's brain.
Know what that is.
And I really don't have any problem with crude, crass, and edgy humor if it's actually funny. George Carlin, one of my favorite comedians, put out a lot of edgy material.
Dude, George Carlin would hate this man. What? Anyway, George Carlin is not the dude that Republicans want to use as an example. But it's a good example of them not being able to process information correctly. And not knowing what part of the joke is the joke.
You don't want to be crude just to be crude. There needs to be a point to it. And the point needs to be more than just upsetting your conservative Christian mom.
That's not the point, is it? Do you honestly think Maddie makes videos with the sole purpose of upsetting her mother? I want to say no. I want to say she doesn't do that.
Comedy is tough. In one way, I admire Maddie's guts. She puts herself out there. That's not easy. But she's trying to get views at the expense of her mom. That's not the way to do it. And her jokes are really no longer funny. There's no punchline, no theme, no story, no real point.
It's also, you just want a whole rant about how, like, You're not an artist. You're more of an engineer. And you're like, right, with this whole stupid thing, right? Why are you critiquing art? You're also not the audience. You're also just not the audience. She's not making TikToks for you. She's not making TikToks for her mom. She's making TikToks for people who think that she's funny, for the following that she has and is continuing to grow. That is her audience. It's not you, and it's not her mom. So chill, dude.
Just the same old shtick, the same old routine about how she was raised in a Christian Republican household and has now rejected that. Okay, so what's the next step in the story? Where's the new twist? Where is this going? Everyone's free to have their own opinion about things, but where's the joke? What's the story? Where's the point? I've decided to cut Maddie out of my will because you just don't go out there and trash your parents and expect there to be no repercussions. And my will is actually a trust plus a will. But that's all.
At least he is admitting that it is a punishment. I'm cutting you out of my will because you don't go out there and trash your parents. I do think that she made a good point in her follow-up video where she said she wasn't really trashing him. She was just kind of stating what happened because she did. She was like, this is something that happened. She didn't go, oh, I have the worst dad. Oh, this guy. And then just start talking badly about him. She was just like, this is what happened when I was 5. And he became a breakdancer. She spent more time talking about how good of a breakdancer he was than she did saying anything negative about him. But he's the guy that's going to go through his comments and delete all the negative ones. So I'm not surprised.
All been rewritten now. I still love Maddie. Maddie's my daughter. But I don't want 1 penny of my money going to promote material that she's now putting out there. She's an adult. She can do whatever she wants. But I'm not going to subsidize this activity. So instead of Maddie getting a multi-million-dollar inheritance, I will be using that money to start a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping kids from low-income and disadvantaged backgrounds gain the skills, work ethic, character traits, and strategies that they need to succeed in life. And one of these strategies, one of the rules, is to never burn bridges with those who can help you. Never bite the hand that fed you. I even followed this rule with people I didn't think much of. I had an employee once who was not especially competent. I almost fired him a few times. But he was a well-meaning kid, so I kept him on, hoping he would get better. And he ultimately did leave my company for another opportunity. And I was relieved about that. But I wished him luck, and I gave him a good recommendation. He was a good kid, just not especially competent. A few years later, he would be in a position to help me land what would become one of my biggest clients. He wasn't the one who hired us, but he recommended that we be hired. His recommendation that we be hired ended up producing millions of dollars in fees. And he actually did turn out to be pretty good at what he does. His strength is sales and public relations. Just wasn't good in the position we had him in, which was very detail-oriented. The point is, never burn bridges, especially with people who can help you. But you shouldn't burn bridges even with people you don't think can help you. And you really don't want to burn bridges with your parents. That's just dumb.
He gets to be the person that does the attacking. And he gets to say, my daughter's not actually gay, she's faking it. I voted for Trump. I love Elon Musk. He's like 2 sentences short of being like, white bald power. Someone in the comments can be like, don't make fun of bald people. Grow hair. Grow up. I made fun of someone's glasses once. See better. That got a couple of comments. What do you mean? That's obviously a joke. People wear glasses. People are bald. Matt's bald. I respect him a little less because of it, but not that much. Oh, he gets to be the dude that's like, gay people, not real. Oh, you want to transition? It's so that you're better at sports, huh? He gets to be that person, and he gets to cut people out of his will. I don't think she probably cares all that much. I'm sure she does a little. Like, millions of dollars are millions of dollars, regardless of where it's coming from. I would love to have a couple mil. That'd be fantastic. But I wouldn't want to have someone like this in my life.
Plus, you never know when you're going to need your parents to bail you out of something. Maybe you're going to suffer a health crisis, something like that. Maybe you're going to get into some jam that you're going to need help getting out of. But Maddie does not follow this rule. Instead, she turns against her parents if she's not finding them immediately useful.
She's turning against the right-wing, conservative, Christian, anti-gay parents because she's gay. Or because she just wants to. I wish he was smart enough to purposefully miss the point.
She thinks she's outgrown her parents. Doesn't need her parents anymore. So now she's using her parents as punchlines for jokes. But the jokes aren't very good.
You are.
Maddie lives in the now. She has trouble looking
Stop
2 or 3...
showing me your book, dude.
Now, some of you will be familiar with previous chapters in the story. But for those of you who are new to this, here's a quick recap before we get into her more recent content. which includes all-out attacks on her mom. Now, I have issues with my ex-wife, obviously, because we got divorced. And I was certainly chagrined by Maddie's multiple and
We got another chagrined.
many staged video attacks on me. But then she turned on her mom. Wow. That behavior is truly insane. Mind-boggling even. Now, Maddie's mom actually thought Maddie's video attacks on me were funny, but I don't think Maddie's video attacks on her mom are funny at all. I see.
Again, he's like trying to make himself like the good guy, right? Like, oh, they laugh at me, but I would never laugh at them.
I think there's about a 0.001% chance that Maddie will succeed as a comedian. And you do need to be in the top 0.001% of comedians if you're going to succeed as a comedian. Because if you're not in that top 0.001% of comedians, you're going to be living in poverty. That's how most comedians live if they don't have another source of income.
Which is not necessarily true anymore. Like, we have plenty of people. We have so many people now who are making good incomes off TikTok or Twitch or YouTube because they get millions of views for their clips and still maybe aren't selling out shows. Like, you're good. Like, he doesn't understand progression of anything.
It's fine to be a comedian for a hobby, but it's very tough to make a living at it. And of course, many comedians end up dead at a very young age. The great Lenny Bruce died at age 40. Chris Farley died at age 33. John Candy died at age 43. And the list goes on. These were people who made it to the very top of the comedy world. This is a very tough business. Now, some of you might wonder, why make a video about this? Why not just pick up the phone and talk with Maddie? Sit down and have a talk with her. Mm-hmm. Well, I certainly have done that, but she's cut off all communication with me.
There it is. Okay. She blocked me. I cut her out of my will.
So this is my way of communicating with her. But even if Maddie is too far gone, perhaps this video will help parents make the right choices when raising their children.
So she already cut him off. She's probably not expecting to be in the will. And he's just like, oh, she cut me off, so to punish her, she's not in the will anymore.
Because clearly Betsy and I made a lot of wrong decisions when raising Maddie. I basically have two pieces of advice for parents. Do not allow your children to have social media accounts until age 18. Social media is a drug, every bit as dangerous and as addictive as crack cocaine. If you are allowing your child on social media, you might as well be giving your child a crack pipe to smoke. Just like other dangerous drugs, social media rewires the brain. The dopamine hits to the brain are created by views and reactions. The crazier things that you do and say, the more views you get. So you are incentivized to say and do crazier and crazier things.
He says this all while being the man who follows all those right-wing accounts, right? Like, he followed Tim Pool, he followed Fox News, who get a following by saying like the most racist, transphobic, right-wing things just to get people, like, just for the shock value. I wish I was this dumb, dude. I would make so much money if I was stupid. I would have made so much money in my life if I was stupid.
I just put up a video by a Kick streamer named Natalie Reynolds that shows where this leads. Now, I can get millions of views if I go into a restaurant at the Ritz-Carlton, jump up on the table, and take a dump on someone's steak dinner. But there's no talent in that. Kids and young adults are doing things like this for views. Maddie is throwing her mom under the bus for views. Views.
She doesn't need to do that, though. She gets a good amount of views not doing that and making little skits and doing stand-up and just like making jokes. She's also allowed to use her platform to talk about her childhood and her experience. Like, that's just part of being a person. If I want to get on here and for 4 hours talk about what it was like growing up, I can do that. Do I want to? Oh, not really. No, but I can.
Reactions to your videos are the drug. To increase the number of views, to increase the number of eyeballs on the social media platform on the computer screen, social media incentivizes the most outlandish and dangerous behavior. Social media changes people, especially the brains of young...
You are picking the worst examples.
Maddie was nothing like she is now before she launched her TikTok career. Maddie changed and changed drastically after she launched her TikTok career in 2023. I actually think it should...
Did she change? Or did you not know who she was because she didn't share her real ideas with you? And now she's sharing them online. She wasn't gay before TikTok. Maybe she didn't want to tell her homophobic parents she was gay.
Should be illegal, against the law, for anybody under the age of 18 to have a social media account. And my second piece of advice is to homeschool your children.
Yeah,
think about it.
Go there.
If you send your child to a public school, you are allowing others to raise your children. And these other people who you are allowing to raise your children might have very different values than you have. Children are raised mostly by their peers, the people they hang around with. You have very little influence over your child after your child heads off to school at the age of 6. So homeschool your children. And then do not send your child off to an elite or so-called prestige college or university, unless for a specific purpose, like to become a doctor or an engineer. America's so-called elite colleges have become political indoctrination centers, and that's now also true for the public schools down to kindergarten. Almost every skill that you need to succeed
Brother, I don't know how many times he's pulled out his book
in life can be learned for free online or very cheaply at your local community college. It just makes very little sense anymore to pay $350,000 just to get a sheet of paper from a so-called elite college. Not only have you wasted the $350,000, but you've also wasted 4 years of your life that could have been used learning a marketable skill and building a business. And Maddie is a perfect illustration of this. And I think stories like hers are very common. Now, Maddie was never an easy child. She was definitely the most difficult of our 4 children. But she also had a spark that I loved, and still love. She still has that same spark. It's just misdirected in my view. Here I am talking with Maddie when she was about 9 or 10 years old. We have with us here Maddie Hart. She is a YouTube specialist. How many?
She is just like, he has always just sounded like this. Maddie Hart? She is a YouTube specialist. He's like cosplaying as a person.
Maddie had discovered YouTube. Now, some might justifiably think that I pushed her into this social media thing from our conversation right here. But no, she actually discovered YouTube on her own. And honestly, I saw it as a positive, as a great creative outlet for her at that time. And YouTube really is not nearly as addictive as TikTok. People are putting out long-form videos. TikTok is on a whole new level of addiction. Try spending a few minutes on TikTok. It's very addictive. So I certainly did encourage her YouTube hobby when she was young. I'm all for encouraging creativity. I made my living as a creator. I write and create advertisements. And some of Maddie's videos as a kid were actually very good. Had a lot of character and creativity. And I remember telling Maddie, you know what I love about you, Maddie?
The fact that he wrote this entire thing out, like how many pages do you think it is for this entire 90-minute video where it's all scripted?
Maddie was always trying new things. She was not a sit-around-the-house kid. She was a doer, and she's still a doer. She's got great energy. But right now, it's badly misdirected, in my view. Now, for my previous video, some of you are going to be familiar with the basic outlines of this story, which is many-faceted and many-layered. And I'll recap here some of what appeared in previous videos. But I'll be adding quite a bit more detail. Then I'll end with some closing thoughts on how I think all this happened. Just 7 weeks after her video about her date with the bro's bro, the guy's guy, about how she could feel the feminism leaving her body,
which is very
Maddie launched
joke.
her first in a series of viral video attacks on me, her dad. And this was just completely out of the...
Again, not attacking you. Like, not attacking you. She's like, here's a funny haha story from my childhood. Didn't attack you, called you a great breakdancer.
Blue, because we seem to be getting along very well. Had been getting along great for many years. And her first video attack on me got 8 million views just on TikTok. And it got tens of millions of views across other platforms. It was picked up by all the big social media influencers and creators. So on February 14th, 2023, I woke up at 6 a.m., as I usually do. I poured myself a cup of coffee, sat down in my lazy boy chair wearing a t-shirt and boxer shorts, per usual, and I
his Bitcoin t-shirt and Bitcoin boxer shorts.
Opened up my laptop computer to start work, as was my usual routine. And what was I greeted with? Well, an avalanche of comments in my social media feed calling me a deadbeat dad and all manner of other insults. I also received emails and text messages from my clients asking me what this was all about. That's how big this thing had blown up. What was happening, I wondered. And of course, as many of you know, Maddie had put up a video about me, accusing me of having abandoned the family to pursue a career in breakdancing. She also accused me of not paying her medical bills.
My dad abandoned my family when I was 5 years old. That
Always
is a wife and 4 kids. He abandoned us and then pursued amateur breakdancing.
Some more context is needed here, needless to say. I will talk about this in a moment. All right, let's continue with the video.
And he got really good. He like blew up. Like he became like a D-list celebrity status, like viral breakdancer. He became like the oldest actively competing breakdancer in the world. Here, I'll show you.
To see, take a look at this 60-year-old breakdancer. Yes, 60 years old.
This guy wouldn't pay my medical bills.
That is not true. More on that in a minute.
I'm just like, it's so stupid how proud. When you argue with people like this, you cannot hand them anything positive because they're going to run with it, right? Like if you go, oh, you were nice a couple of times, but here are a list of times you weren't. They're going to go, okay, but I was nice. Like you said I was nice most of the time. No, I didn't. They just have bad memories. Or are they like actually just bad people?
For kids to do that. He may not have paid for some of my medical bills growing up, but he did give me this breakdancing merchandise. So that's him. He's on his
That is a nice shirt.
It's his b-boy name because his name is Ben Hart. You know, I'll get texts like this, happy birthday, ? And then like links to his breakdancing video.
That's true.
You have?
I text Maddie. I say, Maddie, someone sent me this video you did on me. I love you, but this is very inaccurate. Perhaps this is mom's version of events. Number one, I paid her $1.2 million in cash. That was the beginning of the divorce at the get-go. Number two, paid her $18,000 per month in child support and alimony, later reduced to $12,000 per month. Number three, paid health insurance plus 70% of medical costs. Number four, paid $600,000 into the college fund. Number five, paid a total amount of about $5 million for you guys. Number six, didn't abandon the family. I lived right down the street in LaGrange. Small point, I took up breakdancing for exercise in 2012, 7 years after the divorce. But that part of the video was funny. There are some 5,000 comments on your video. Please take it down. Thank you. I love you, and am not at all angry. Some parts of the video were very funny. You were very talented. Love, Dad. Then I added, you could easily redo the video and make it just as funny. Just remove the didn't pay medical bills and deadbeat dad parts, which aren't true and are very damaging. And by this time, clients were already emailing me, phoning me, sending me text messages, asking me about Maddie's video. That's how big this thing had blown up. It was really causing quite a bit of damage. Maddie answers, hi, sorry, Dad. I honestly thought you'd appreciate the free publicity and viral views. Not sure why she would think that. I do have a small YouTube channel.
All these people are like really bad at communicating.
I have a professional life. YouTube for me is just a hobby. For example, I put up this advice to professional life.
It's objectively a funny story that you left and then started breakdancing. I harbor no ill will, as I made it clear in the description. I never call you a deadbeat dad. I just make light of what was ultimately a pretty tragic situation growing up. Growing up without a dad was very hard. I found humor and lightness in it now. It's how it is.
YouTube for me is just a hobby. For example, I put up this advice to teens video series starting about 12 years ago for my kids to watch when they were growing up. Some of these videos did very well. My Why Learn Algebra video got 180,000 views, for example. So I was putting up videos like that on my YouTube channel. Maddie continues, quote, it's an objectively funny story that you left and started breakdancing. I harbor no ill will. I never called you a deadbeat dad. I just made light of what was ultimately a pretty tragic situation growing up. Growing up without dad was very hard, but now I've found humor and lightness in it. It's how it is. And it is true that Maddie never actually called me a deadbeat dad in her video. But she did say I didn't pay medical bills, which is not true. And the overwhelming interpretation of this in the 5,000 comments on her video was that I was a deadbeat dad who had left the family to become a breakdancer.
Also, like, he's a terrible example of what he's asking for because he's like, hey, take this down. The comments are mean. He's deleted all the negative comments about him and then left all the negative comments about his daughter here. So, like,
it was an extremely ugly divorce and very sudden. I could say way more exposing both you and Mom. But I'm not malicious, nor do I harbor any anger or bad feelings. But instead, I focus on the funny part, which is that my dad got really good at breakdancing. I guess I shouldn't have made the medical bills joke. You're right. That's just something I heard growing up. But everything else is funny and just in good light fun. End quote. And it's interesting that she does say that she just heard from her mom that I was not paying medical bills.
That part is
We'll come back to that later, because I do think Maddie's mom, my ex, Betsy, is the one who fueled this entire fire, had a big part in pushing Maddie in this direction. Betsy.
Do you think that's why he has a flag behind him? Like, my wife made this flag? The Canadians will not understand that.
And Maddie basically doesn't know what to believe because her mom, my ex, lied to her throughout her entire childhood. And I suspect that Maddie saw the hypocrisy in her mom being the supposed hardcore Christian conservative. But Maddie saw nothing in her mom that suggested that her mom was living in accordance with any Christian principles. Maddie saw her mom as a phony and a hypocrite. So Maddie moved in a different direction, in rebellion against her mom, in reaction to her mom. And we'll come back to this. So the conversation goes on, and I'm very good-natured about it. I say, quote, I thought 90% of it was fine, but abandoning the family and not paying medical bills will really hurt me professionally. I would appreciate it if you will just take this down and redo it. I know you meant no harm. Love, Dad. Maddie
I like the little sign off, Dad, she's not going to know who it is.
Answers, and I put her answer up here if you'd like to read it. But she concludes that it's too late to redo. Too many people have seen it, she says. So I repeat my request. Can you just take it down? Maddie answers, no, it's too late. It's already been reposted. You should just own it. Your breakdancing is viral and people love it. End quote. I answer, it's just not accurate. I did not pay medical bills, did not abandon the family for breakdancing, did not abandon you kids, and certainly was not a deadbeat dad, as many in the comments are interpreting this. End quote. Maddie answers, I said you didn't pay some medical bills.
The joke was that his wife's name is Betsy, like Betsy Ross. Am I stupid?
Which is true. And you did abandon us. Maddie's video actually does not say that I did not pay some medical bills. She just said I didn't pay her medical bill. Maddie, these are the comments I'm getting in my Twitter and social media feeds. Here are a few of the comments. There are thousands like them, accusing me of being a deadbeat dad. Maddie answers, ugh, I'm sorry, Dad. And she goes on saying that this will blow over in a few days.
I'm sorry, Dad. I told people specifically, don't bully my dad. This is just for laughs. It's silly. This happens whenever I go viral. It's par for the course. Going viral isn't all gumdrops and roses. And there's tons of people in my comments who love you. They're saying you're so inspiring, legendary, and iconic. They're also saying it's cool you picked up a hobby, then got amazing at it at your age. I can send you some screenshots of nice comments if that will help. Other than that, I suggest setting your account to private for a few days. You don't need to delete anything to set your account to private. That's what I do anytime one of my TikToks ends up on the wrong side of the internet and the haters stream in. Just go private for a few days. In a few days, this will all blow over. Always does. But truly, people think it's a very funny and inspiring story. And the people on X just don't get humor or silliness.
And you can read more of her thoughts here if you like. She concludes, in the future, I will be more careful. I thought it was funny and light. I love you. I answer, I know you meant no harm. I liked 95% of it. And overall, I know that you meant it as a compliment. Love, Dad. Maddie tries to be reassuring. People in my comments love you! 3 exclamation points. I answer, I'm sure there are a few positive ones. I've had to block about 30 people. How many views does it have? Jake Tapper from CNN just followed me. I wonder why. At this point, I didn't know that Maddie's video had 8 million views. I did not have a TikTok account. Maddie tries to be reassuring again. She says, this is like when I went super viral on Fox News. People said a lot of horrible stuff, but I reclaimed the narrative and I owned it and used it for my advantage. I also made all of my accounts private for a few days. The next day I wrote this. Maddie, I posted a video on your video. I think you'll like it.
That's wild. I posted a video calling you ungrateful and a liar where I'm going to delete all the comments criticizing me. I hope you like it.
Post it on your TikTok feed. I think people will love it. You can download the file from Dropbox here. Maddie answers, haha, I love it, but I don't want to stoke the fire anymore. I never wanted this to be dramatic. I just wanted to post a silly, humorous thing. But good for you for embracing it. And she ends her...
She's doing a good job of just yeah, you're right. Nah, you're so right. Oh, it's too late now. No, you'll be fine. Whatever. Just like that, just taking care of his feelings. And he doesn't understand that's what that is. He thinks that she's admitting fault. It's just all dumb, dude. He doesn't understand context. She should have just never messaged him back.
Her text message with 3 big hearts for love, love, love. And Maddie and I absolutely do love each other, always have, always will. Nothing will ever change that. I end the conversation. I love you too.
Nothing will ever change that. However, right now, you're blocked on everything. You're making a 90-minute video explaining why you cut her from your will, during which you have done things like go on transphobic rants, anti-LGBTQ rants. You're that guy. You're the guy who, again, you let them talk, they're going to tell you who they are, and who they are is some random white man, big crypto boy, Elon Musk fan, who's transphobic, homophobic, probably racist. I'm sure we'll get there at some point. I'm sure if she was dating someone who wasn't white, we also would have had that conversation at some point. You're gonna, what, you're 2 out of 3, not 3 out of 3?
The 10-minute response video I put up was very lighthearted. Basically, I said I liked 95% of Maddie's video, but that there were some significant inaccuracies that had to be corrected. I didn't have much of a social media following. I thought my video might get at most a few hundred views. My main purpose for posting it was for people who were asking me about Maddie's video, including my clients and friends. I could then just send them the link to the video rather than explain it each time, to the dozens of people who were asking me about it. And so far my relationship with Maddie had remained very good. She liked my response video, gave it 3 hearts for love. But the bottom line was she was not going to correct her video, nor was she going to post my 10-minute correction video on her feed. She was clearly not at all.
I think the video that he had, the 10-minute video, like if you sent that to me as a client, I would not have responded. Like, I don't think that made anything better.
All threatened by my response video at this point. Basically, she liked it, thought it was funny. She clearly thought it would just get a few hundred views, as did I. No big deal, this would pass, and our relationship would remain intact. Welp, my 10-minute response video got 33 million views on X. Elon Musk even commented. Our dueling videos got worldwide media.
Elon Musk, who very famously has a daughter who just does not get along with him. Elon Musk, who's an estranged parent. Elon Musk, who trashes his daughter because she doesn't like him. Elon Musk, who's just so sensitive, dude. That's your guy.
Attention. Time Magazine, Newsweek, The Daily Mail, The Daily Beast, and it seemed like just about every major YouTube and social media content creator was commenting on it. Maddie went up with a much more negative second video that was filled with even more inaccuracies. So then I went up with a more detailed response video to this, which pretty much documented our relationship.
Like, I'm sure you saw them more than she thinks and less than he thinks. I will say that I don't care what you have to say afterwards. I don't really trust a dude who has a transphobic rant to go on, who was like, my daughter's not actually gay, she's doing it for attention, who is sitting in front of an American flag, who's like a big Elon Musk fanboy, who keeps talking about how he voted for Trump. There's that's 5 reasons. That's 5 different reasons why I don't want to listen to anything you have to say. Just cut her out of your will and let it go. Just shut up about it, dude. I think the thing is that as a parent, you have expectations of your child, but those expectations do in some way need to be earned. And what I mean is you have to be a good parent. And that doesn't always mean, oh, I provided financially, I was there physically. Sometimes you have to be able to validate and accept who your child is. So, for example, if you're going to sit here and talk about how your daughter's not actually gay, I don't really want to be around that parent. I don't care that you're giving me money. I don't care that you say you lived close enough to see us every few months. If you can't even accept the person that they are and you're just going to call them a liar over that, you don't really deserve to be in their life. I'm going to be so real, dude. As much as I really, really dislike him, and I do, I also don't think I'd ever get along with her. These are just they seem like a terrible family as individuals. Apparently the ex-wife is awful. He's awful. She kind of just sucks. There are obviously stages to this. We can say that he's worse than she is. That's pretty much his entire argument, is I couldn't have been a bad dad. I gave her and her mom a ton of money.
Hope you're all doing well. Now, I don't expect my kids to remember my birthday, but Maddie did kind of make a big deal in her video out of the fact that I wished her a belated birthday.
I'll get texts like this, happy birthday, ? And we don't speak with any sort of regularity. He doesn't know when my birthday is. As you guys saw in the video I posted, he got it wrong.
He's missing the point. The point that she's making is we don't know each other's birthdays. We're not that close. And he goes, she doesn't like that I don't remember her birthday, but she doesn't remember mine either. Right. That's the point. You're not that close.
And by the way, when I was growing up, I don't think my dad ever remembered my birthday.
Again, not that's always stupid. I don't care about birthdays that deeply. I'll probably remember yours or it's in my notes. But I don't care. If nobody said happy birthday to me, I'd be fine. I don't care. However, qualifying something oh, no, my dad didn't do this, so it doesn't really matter that I would do it for you. That's stupid.
Back then, I don't think it was a thing for dads to remember their kid's birthday.
But
stupid. Overall, I've done a pretty good job of remembering birthdays for my kids over the years. This year, I'm remembering no birthdays. I'm out of the remembering birthdays business. Anyways, my relationship with Maddie was very good, as it was with all of my kids. Absolutely nothing amiss so far as I could tell. And we were communicating constantly with each other. Lots of love you, miss you, can't wait to see you, etc. Also,
all from one side. She says miss you a couple times, not gonna lie, but it kind of sounds like she just wants money.
No indication here that Maddie is LGBTQ.
Leave her alone. Stop bringing up the fact that you don't think she's gay. That's weird. That's so weird. That's not any of your business.
Don't date a musician unless you are ready to have access to an extremely intimate portrait of what their last relationship was like.
That's a good joke.
That
Great
lyric,
bit.
I will be in love with you forever. Was that just kind of catchier than saying for 2 to 3 years?
I don't know how to feel bad for the parent, but it seems like she's keeping him around for money. How much money would it take for you to keep your parent around if your parent was like weird and homophobic?
At least one set of bills that Betsy submitted to me were for grief counseling for when Maddie broke up with her boyfriend from college. The guy here named Elijah. Remember, they went to Hollywood together because he was also a theater major at Northwestern. But they broke up. Not sure who broke up with who. Maddie's mom wanted me to pay for grief counseling for Maddie over breakup with her boyfriend. I declined to pay for that. Again, no evidence here of being the least bit LGBTQ. So I guess these were the medical bills that Maddie said I wouldn't cover.
You could have just had this entire thing in here. You could have just left this whole thing in here where you're like, don't like that I'm being misrepresented as not paying her medical bills when I'm paying all of these to her mother. But then you'd like drop a little jab like, but she's not actually gay. Like, these people are just so hard to listen to.
Grief counseling over breakup with boyfriend. And in her text here, Maddie also says mom is paying for her car repair. Someone also hit Maddie's car, so I paid $500 toward that. Her mom also paid $500 to help with Maddie's $1,000 deductible on her car insurance. Betsy paid $1,000, then asked me to reimburse her for half, which I did. But Betsy never told Maddie. Betsy allowed Maddie to think that Betsy had paid the full $1,000. Evidently, Betsy was telling the kids that she was paying for almost everything, and that I was paying for almost nothing. That's why Maddie was under the impression that I wasn't paying medical bills. Maddie even says in one of her attack videos against me that she had no idea what I was paying or what the financial arrangement was between me and Betsy. So yes, I was still heavily subsidizing Maddie's life in Los Angeles, even though she was 24 years old. This is certainly a big difference of how it was for me when I graduated from college. The day after I graduated, my dad was done. As far as my dad was concerned, his job was over. It was up to me to make it in the world. Sink or swim was his attitude, and I think that's how it was for almost everyone in those days. Once a kid hits adulthood, it was expected they were...
That's what it was like for everyone in those days. So we all moved away from our parents and never talked to them again. If that's what you want, that's fine. Keep doing it. But obviously, you're making a 90-minute video. You're going to be that person. Deal with the consequences. That's it. That's all it is.
I have become semi-famous literally just in like Republican hate circles. But because my dad is like a huge Republican, huge Bitcoiner, like he's so bizarre, he has this sort of cultish following around him. Oh, and then Elon Musk responded to my dad's video being like, you're awesome. Like, you're an awesome dad. You're awesome. So that got all of the Elon Musk fans after me. It was sort of just a whole controversial moment in my...
So if he can ask her to take down a video because he's getting 30 people that he had to block, can he not understand that she's getting so many more people that are definitely unhinged from the side of the internet that is unhinged? From the side of the internet that's going to tell you to off yourself. And it's going to be like, oh, you're ungrateful brat. Like, this is, I don't know. It just seems so stupid.
After our dueling videos, Maddie sends me a long series of text messages with a long list of ugly and false accusations and distortions that she could only have heard from her mom. I won't include her long text messages here because they're just full of...
So you're willing to include every other text message, but not this one. I don't think you have to defend her. I think you can say that this is just awful. Like, he's hard to listen to. I could not imagine being a person in this guy's life at all, especially one of his kids. And they're entirely different on the internet than they are with you because they're not comfortable around you. And on the internet, she could be like, oh, I'm gay, happy pride. And he's like, I don't think you're gay. Like, that's already just gross. His whole like trans rant in the beginning, gross. The Bitcoin, the Elon Musk, the American flag behind him, like, I'm not a hardcore Republican. I did vote for Trump. I like when he said that women, you should just grab them. That's my favorite part. Maddie just seems annoying. She just seems annoying. Like, if she was my friend, I'd probably just be annoyed and not her friend. But she doesn't seem like problematic.
Nonsense and distortions that I'd have to spend a lot of time debunking point by point. And that would probably take a 1-hour video to do. Maddie's tech, and that would probably take a 1-hour video to do.
Dude, you have multiple hour-plus long videos. Hour and a half.
Maddie's text message stream was like War and Peace in terms of length. And perhaps I will address each one of her points at another time, because she got all these accusations from her mom. And I actually dealt with some of them in this video here. But I will address one here. Among the accusations on this list, in Maddie's long text message stream, is she says I was accused of embezzlement. Well, this is just outrageous, and
That's
Betsy
kinda funny.
knows it. And Maddie could have only heard this from Betsy because this involves something that happened in 1996, long before Maddie was born. Okay, as some of you know, I'm in the advertising business. That includes direct response, direct mail fundraising for the Republican side. Over the decades, my direct mail and direct marketing campaigns have raised more than $1 billion for the Republican side. And I've built some of the biggest organizations on the Republican, conservative, pro-freedom side. In 1996, I was investigated by the Clinton Justice Department. I was basically targeted politically in exactly the same way the Biden Justice Department is targeting Donald Trump and members of his team. The Clinton Justice Department conducted a 2-year investigation of my company. My offices were raided in 1996 by U.S. Marshals. I was investigated by a Clinton U.S. attorney, Clinton's IRS criminal division, the Postal Service, and the Federal Election Commission. I spent about $250,000 just fulfilling subpoena requests. That was in 1996 dollars. After 2 years of this, we got a call from the Clinton Justice Department to come and get all of our documents, computer hard drives, and computers. The investigation was over. After 2 years of looking, they couldn't find anything. Not a tax violation, not a penny missing or misplaced, not a form filled out wrong, not a wrong box checked anywhere. Nothing, zip, zero, nada. Or you could be sure they would have brought a charge, because they were looking hard. Maddie was not born by this point. This was 1996 through 1998. Maddie was born in 1999. So the only way that Maddie could have heard about this was from her mom. Apparently, Betsy told the kids that I was accused of embezzlement. I just found this out from Maddie's text message on February 22nd of this year, that Betsy's been telling this to the kids, along with a long list of other lies and distortions. Betsy knows the truth about the investigation of me by the Clinton Justice Department. She knows this was just a fishing expedition by the Clinton regime. The use of law enforcement powers of government to target political opponents was started by Bill Clinton. This lawfare approach has been greatly expanded and intensified by the Biden regime and Democrats in recent years. Now, Bill Clinton was embroiled in fundraising scandals at that time, renting out the White House Lincoln bedroom to donors, Chinagate, and so on. Democrats had just suffered massive losses in the 1994 congressional elections. The Clinton regime was looking for fundraising scandals on the Republican side, and I was one of the targets. After 2 years of investigating, the Clinton regime saw they had nothing, so dropped the investigation. If a charge could have been
so hard to listen to, dude. Like, what does this have to do with anything? I don't like the Clintons and I don't like Biden. My daughter's at the wheel. Being married to this guy must have been so bad. Like, that is just, I hate listen. I don't want to listen to him talk for 90 minutes. I really don't.
Betsy's shtick in newspaper columns, books, and media appearances was to portray herself as some kind of victim. A beleaguered single mom raising
so
4
bad.
kids, abandoned by her husband.
A single mom who works 2 jobs, who loves her kids and never stops? What's the next line? In the heart of a fighter, I'm a survivor. I'm missing a line in there.
Her practical and humorous insights on family issues are often featured on shows like Fox and Friends and other media outlets. Betsy's new book, From the Heart, is a collection of
I think it's just a family of people who all need attention, much more attention than they should be getting, and are just all awful. And you could put them in the tiers, right? Like, the dad's obviously the worst. The wife seems pretty bad. And Maddie's also just kind of annoying. I don't know how to tell you that during all of this, whatever she's writing, she's taking care of her kids. Where are you? Oh, you're giving her money. Congratulations. You are a pig. Not a dad, but sure.
Nowhere does she mention that I was living just down the street.
Is she supposed to? Where does that fit in anywhere? Like, you so badly want to be some center for attention.
When Maddie needs money, she's all nice and sweet. When she doesn't get what she wants, she turns into Sister of Chucky. Young people today have learned that they can gain social and career advantage by presenting themselves as a victim of some kind. This is a big trend on TikTok.
Dude, this entire thing is about how you're a victim of your children and your ex-wife.
Rich white kids trying to claim they are victims of some kind of made-up childhood trauma. Another way rich white kids try to claim victimhood is to claim they are LGBTQ. And the easiest way to do this is to say you are bisexual. You can increase your social status.
Is anyone here bisexual and lying about it? Raise your hand. That's such a stupid thing. That's such a stupid thing to like. That's so dumb. If you're like, hey, I'm gay, I never, not once am I thinking like, oh, they're lying. No, like that doesn't even come up, dude. This has to be, I would be so uncomfortable. Like these are not for me. Whatever, like if I had a daughter, grown 25-year-old sexually active daughter making her TikToks, I would not watch them. They're not for me. Like this is so weird.
Christianity has produced the best results overall in terms of respect for human rights, political systems, scientific and economic progress.
No, Christianity colonized the world. They murdered everyone else. What?
No parents are perfect, right? Does anyone have parents who are perfect? I sometimes had a rocky relationship with my dad. He was one of the most brilliant people I've ever encountered. He was a professor of English literature at Dartmouth College, a speechwriter for Richard Nixon, a top-level collegiate tennis player, a senior editor of National Review, a devastating debater. He had a tested IQ of 140. I remember dinner parties at our house. He'd have professors over with their spouses, and one of the wives would say something pretty dumb related to politics. And Dad would zero in on the comment, ask her lots of questions, and just press her on the dumb opinion she had just expressed. It was pretty funny, though not nice.
That's weird. Like, random dude berating my wife? No, that's not gonna happen. The guy will throw you in your own home. As a man, like, why are you even doing that? Like, just let it go. Shut up.
She and her professor husband got up and left the dinner party with her in tears. So that was my dad. He was world class at mocking people, which is why he was one of the best debaters I've ever seen. He also had an encyclopedic knowledge of history, literature, philosophy. He could make almost anyone look very stupid in a debate very quickly, often just by asking questions. And he was often outrageous. His most famous lecture at Dartmouth was his final lecture at the end of his course on 18th century English literature. And the topic of this lecture would vary from year to year, and it was always designed to provoke. The entire campus was invited, and it was held in Dartmouth's biggest auditorium. Almost the entire faculty at the college would show up as well. The title of one of these lectures was 2 Cheers for the British Empire, or Why Uganda Was Better Off When the Brits Were Running It. So yeah, Dad was colorful and edgy, to say the least. One time he had a debate with a famous legal scholar named Ernest Vandenhage on pornography, and whether it should be outlawed, or was pornography free speech protected by the First Amendment. My dad took the pro-pornography position, or I should say, against outlawing it. In this debate, Dad just kept putting up slides of classic art that would also qualify as graphic pornography. Paintings of women with open...
I don't get the point that he's making now. Like, your dad debated, and so you cut your daughter out of your will. Congratulations.
Vaginas and the like. And then he would ask, is this pornography or art? He would show slides of Hustler magazine spreads next to the painting of the naked woman with the wide open vagina, and he'd ask, can someone tell me what the difference is? We're told this is art, he'd say. I don't think YouTube would even allow me to show the slides that my dad was putting up. And of course the students would howl with laughter with each new slide he'd put up. However, some of the female students were not amused by his slideshow. They left the debate in a tizzy. Complaints came in from parents of some of the students. Dad thought it was hilarious. He was a tenured professor at Dartmouth, so he could not be fired. He was deliberately outrageous, always pushing the boundaries of acceptable behavior and
deliberately outrageous when you mean he was a dick because he thought it was funny. It's just dumb. You should consider whether or not the people that other people revere are people that you would like to have in your life. Do I want someone in my life as a friend who just starts arguments for no reason because he likes winning arguments? Not really. I've met plenty of these people. Most of them aren't actually that smart. Most of them don't win arguments because they argue well. They win arguments because they refuse to be wrong. And that person is generally just annoying. There are plenty of people who get off on just arguing, who like to start fights because they like to start fights. Not someone I want in my life. So if your heroes are people like this guy's dad, or Elon Musk, or Donald Trump, I don't care how nice you are to me, we're not two people who are going to get along with each other.
Dad was also a high-functioning alcoholic and womanizer. He and my mom got divorced for obvious reasons.
Great job.
He and I also had a big falling out, and we didn't talk to each other for a couple of years. If I had never picked up the phone to talk to him, I never would have heard from him again. That's just the way he was. He would never pick up the phone to talk to his kids.
Dude, your dad didn't love you, and it sounds like you just wanted him to. It sounds like you were like, oh, I really want the approval of my dad. Congratulations, dude. Congratulations. Congratulations. You're soft. No one cares. No one cares. Like, that doesn't matter. Plenty of people want their parents' approval.
Not once did he ever initiate contact, even when everything was going great. But if you called him, he was always happy to talk and hang out. He'd usually say, want to get lunch, want to have a dinner, want to meet at the Hanover Inn for drinks. But he would never initiate contact with his kids, or anyone pretty much. If his kids did not contact him, we would never hear from him again. That's just the way it was with Dad. I think he viewed it as weakness to pick up the phone and initiate contact with anyone, including his kids. He basically wanted to make it clear that he did not give an F either way. So after 2 years of not talking to Dad, I finally decided to just pick up the phone and call. Hey, Dad, I said, I'm going to be in town next Tuesday. Want to have dinner? Sure, he said. Great. I wasn't actually planning to be in town next Tuesday. I was living in Washington, D.C. at that time. My dad was in Hanover, New Hampshire. But then he said, yeah, I'll see you for dinner on Tuesday. So I flew to Boston, rented a car, drove up from there to Hanover, New Hampshire, and had dinner with Dad. I never would have seen or heard from him again had I not done that. The issue that caused the falling out was never mentioned. And frankly, it was pretty bad what he had done. But it was like nothing ever happened.
Dude, you're simp. You're simping for your dad. Like, I don't know what to tell you. My dad was a bad person, mistreated my mom, mistreated me. The issue was pretty bad, but we didn't bring it up. I called him and said, Dad, will you please spend time with me? I flew to Boston, rented a car, drove to him to talk to him for a little while. Like, dude, I don't know how to tell you that this doesn't make you look good. I've not spoken to my dad since I was 14. You could blame it on the physical abuse. You could blame it on him beating my mom. You could blame it on the drugs. You could blame it on so many different things, dude. I don't care. If he called me today and said, I'm down the block, the only reason I'm agreeing to meet up with that man is we're getting in a fight. We're getting in a physical fight. It's going to take 22 seconds. He's going to end up on the ground and I'm walking away. I'm not sitting here asking my dad to validate me. I don't care what time you grew up in. Having a bad dad just means you had a bad dad.
Never heard my dad apologize for anything. Not once. He grew up during World War II and served in the Korean War.
I don't care. I don't care when he grew up. I don't. I
think apologies were considered signs of weakness for men of that era. His dad was the same way. So I certainly didn't expect any apology for what had happened. I just figured we needed to reconnect. I loved and deeply respected my dad. Yeah, he did have a dark side. He certainly had issues. He could be vicious to people, especially after a few drinks. Usually with merciless, laser-focused mockery. A debate between my dad and Donald Trump would really be something to see. Both grew up in Queens, New York. Both are world-class at mocking people.
Actually, Donald Trump is kind of funny sometimes. But, like, I don't think it's funny in the things that when he, like, mocks people. Like, I don't think, like, Crazy Kamala is funny. Or whatever he said for the Joe Biden ones. Like, that's not funny. The little weird dances he does. But that's, like, making fun of him. Not thinking that he's actually funny.
I can only imagine the insults and memes that would come from that encounter. And even though my dad was a professor at Dartmouth, even back then he said that college is a complete waste of time for 90% of people. He said 90% of people would be far better off just taking that money and using it to build a business. When Dad was in an assisted living center up in Vermont in his final years of life, I went up to see him in 2016 around Thanksgiving. His mind was not functioning well at this point. I asked him what he thought of Donald Trump. No way he'll get elected, said Dad. A preposterous figure, he said. Dad, Donald Trump was elected, I said.
Dude, after all that, like, your dad's like this whack person. Even he knows that Donald Trump should not have been president.
Trump defeated Hillary Clinton. Interesting, Dad said, and added, life really is weirder than fiction. I had enormous admiration for my dad's intellect and wit. He was one of the funniest people I've ever met. Here's Maddie and me seeing Dad at that assisted living center in Vermont a year or so before he died. Life is very short. Life will be over in the blink of an eye. Everyone is deeply flawed. Whatever you're angry about, get over it. Maddie, you really need to read my book, Win Life.
That's at you. That's at you. That's at you. You're mad at your daughter because your daughter told the truth. Get over it. Get over it. Leave her in your will. You're going to die way before her, probably. Like, seriously, get over it.
Schools don't teach. I wrote this book for you and your siblings. This book contains just about everything I know about how to succeed in life. A really important rule for success in life is don't burn bridges. At age 66, I can afford to burn bridges without much consequence. I don't need more business or more money. I'm not looking to advance my career. I'm all set. But at age 25, you should not be burning bridges. And you should not be making a spectacle of yourself on TikTok. Instead, you should be on the lookout for a bro's bro to marry. A guy's guy.
Ew.
I think that'll make you a lot happier.
Guys, I went
my... You need to settle down. You just need a man to calm you down. You just need a man to make you happy. That's gross. Oh, what a way to end that one, dude. Oh, people watch this? Dude, this was so hard to get through. Every single person in here who dropped a positive comment cannot be real. All right, get out of here. Go. Bye. I don't know what we're doing tomorrow because we were not supposed to be doing this today. So, bye. I'm not waving for 40 seconds. Leave. Get out of here. Go. You think I have the wrist strength to keep doing this? Do I look like Jake to you? Do I look like Memat where one of my wrists is just really strong for some reason? Oh, Memat, why is your right forearm so big? And then he has a little bald laugh. All right.